Good evening, sisters and brothers, and welcome to another edition of Conscious Conversations. With Conscious Conversations, every time we gather together, whether we are in person or we're gathering virtually, the goal is to glean from those conversations what can help us live and become all that God has called and created us to be. That's the goal. That's the purpose. And this evening, we are just so honored to have this conversation that we are about to get into with our good brother Walamu Olatunji from Shrine 9 in Atlanta, Georgia. Brother Reverend, I'm going to ask you to introduce our other esteemed guests. So take it away.
Yeah, thank you. First, want to again thank you for the opportunity to have this conversation. It's a very needed one. It kind of grew out of our prayer circle that we have here at Shrine 9 every Sunday morning, where we pray for our membership and Black people and progressive people all over. And the conversation just kind of came up about the prices of food and the necessity to start growing our own food in terms of economics as well as health. And so I think it was one of the ministers suggested that I contact you and ask for the opportunity to talk about growing your own food. And I was very fortunate to have some brothers around me that have had a long history of growing food. And one was Brother Major Abu Bakr. It seems like, of course, the Maccabees always lead the way. So this brother has just been doing some dynamic things in the Kibaland Park and growing food in our region. So I asked if he would come on and be one of the panelists. I'm kind of a beginner on the urban side, my home porch and backyard. So I was always going to him asking various questions about how to grow and when to grow. And then also our good brother Nasor has a history more than I was aware of in terms of farming, and was always growing on his own backyard, but has an extensive history in the past of growing food as well. So I asked both of them if they would consider being panelists for this event. And we may also be able to do another conscious conversation where we can bring on a couple of other people. But it is very essential and necessary for us to start growing our own food. Many skills that we had in the past, we seem to have lost, but as being the first people, we were the first agriculturalists. And we have a long, extensive history that it seems we have put aside for commercial farming from our enemy, who is definitely not concerned about our health. So I want to just kind of open up today with Major Abu Bakr. We have a short slide presentation so that he can kind of introduce the idea and what he has been doing in terms of growing food in the Akibaland Park. So I'm going to share my screen and then we'll turn it over to him. And then we'll be followed by Brother Nasor. And I'll kind of bring in the rear.
All right, so let's go.
Let me back you up a little bit. Okay, Abu Bakr. Unmute yourself, Abu Bakr, and it's your show.
Okay, I don't see Abu Bakr.
Yeah, he's there, but you're muted. Unmute yourself, Abu Bakr.
Hello.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, we got you.
All right. The beds, I don't see the bed, but the beds that we have, the beds you're looking at, they're the new growth from last year, last spring. I don't have a picture of the harvest of later on in the year, but those 4x8 bed, we have 16 beds. And that's what we're going to be using to grow our vegetables and things for this summer. Our objective for this summer is to grow a lot of tomatoes and string beans, tomatoes, peppers, okra, and peppers. We'll try to do enough tomatoes to make some chow this year. We're going to try to do some southern chow. We got some southern cooks that been raised up on the farm and stuff like that. They know about making chow. We're gonna put our heads together and try to produce some and try to be able to sell a few this year from our Kimberland garden.
The beds that you're talking about, do those come already constructed, or you are building those yourself?
We have a garden crew. We are put those together. We had a sister named Sister over there. She helped us with the garden project. She's a person that can get grants and everything like that. We got grant money to get the material to put all this stuff. She was able to get the fertilizers, the compost fertilizers with the grant money.
And so for those folk who are familiar with Atlanta, when you say a Kimberland garden, where is this actually located?
It's in the park. It's in
Are you talking about the park behind the church?
Yes, it's in the park behind the church.
Right off of Abernathy. Okay.
Right.
Abu Bakr, Major.
Yes.
Did you are those raised beds, or is that considered a raised bed, or is that just on the ground and sectioned off?
It considers raised bed. You know, there's several different dynamics in raised bed, and people do them different ways. Some have them 16 inches high.
Yeah.
Some have them 20 inches high. Some just don't have them at 6. You know.
And these are some beautiful pictures, by the way.
Yeah.
And I'm expecting you all to send me a couple baskets of this food. But you mentioned chow. Now you got to break that down. Everybody that's listening to this does not know what chow is. What are you talking about?
Well, it's a southern thing that you make it out of tomatoes, onions, canned peppers, any other type of pepper. and you chop it up. You chop it up, and you use bell pepper too. You chop it up, put them in put vinegar, a little bit of sugar, and you cook them down for about 45 minutes. And you put them in a fruit jar. You seal them in a mason jar. Make sure they be sealed good, and you use them to eat them with your greens and your pinto beans, your black-eyed peas, and your crowder peas. Especially in the South, we do purple herb peas and green and crowder peas. That was the main three components that we used them with. And my father used to make it all. I used to help him, but I hadn't did it since I was about 17 years old. Because I hadn't did it after I left home. I had last year was my first time trying it again.
Okay.
So it came out pretty good, but it wasn't like my father's. But I got to work on it.
So Major Abubakar, what I know about your background is Hempstead, Texas, and watermelons. Can you speak on that?
Yeah. My father used to be what you call. He was a farmer. And he used to grow watermelon. And then like in Mississippi, they had the watermelon I brought you. It was called Congo. The watermelon I brought to Houston. It's a watermelon that my father grew. There don't too many people grow that watermelon. It's called the Congo watermelon.
All right.
And most of other watermelon grown in Mississippi, they are Jubilees and Charleston. And like in Hempstead, Texas, they do the Black Diamond.
I didn't know they had that many kinds of watermelon.
I was about to say that, brother. So he's blowing my mind. I just thought a watermelon was. I didn't.
Okay, except for if it's oblong or round, it's still the same watermelon.
Yeah, that's just about 4 of them. It's about 5 or 6 more.
I know it because last year I've seen some blind watermelons. I believe it was.
Yeah.
All I know is when I go into the store, I run away from the seedless watermelons because that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, my son got a hold of them.
Yeah, they had another one, a man down there named Mr. Harris. He grew the Cuban queen. You can't even find them seeds no more.
Oh man!
Wow.
So yeah, those some beautiful beds there, and they look like they were growing.
Yeah, this is absolutely beautiful.
Isn't that something?
Yes. So who has access to this food? Is this just for the church? Is it for the community? Who has access?
It's for the church people mostly,
Okay.
Well, Abubakar, let's say we just now entered the month of April, and if somebody wanted to get started now with a raised garden, what would you recommend?
Actually, we suppose they had a meeting last Saturday, but it was turning real cool. We canceled it, and so next Saturday is gonna be our first annual meeting for the summer garden of 2022, and so we're getting ready start planning for Good Friday the week after. So that's a good time to plant the tomatoes and everything, pretty much everything. Except sweet potatoes. I had to wait probably another couple more weeks on the sweet potato because you got to be pretty hot. Temperature got to be at least in the 70s and at nighttime be in the 60s.
Now, also to follow up on that question you just asked, Walamu, I've got, when I go to pick up my seeds or seedlings, I go to the seed and feed store. I also get my dog food there also. But they have these books called the Almanac, right here. And it comes out annually, and it gives you certain times to plant certain plants and vegetables.
Yeah.
So, and these are usually free when you go to those seed stores.
Yeah,
It used to be called the Farmer's Almanac. This one is called Grizz Almanac.
yeah.
It's got a lot of useful information in it.
All right, all right.
Yeah, they do.
Br-
Yeah, 'cause
Brother Nasor, do you have
my father,
I'm sorry.
yeah, my father used to use that yearly. That's
Yeah.
whenever January, that's what he get that almanac
Yeah.
for the year, and he read it. That's what he plant by.
Yeah, it gives you the phases of the moon right on down to when to put your seeds in the ground for which crop.
Wow.
And for a novice, that's a good start because you just, when you're just starting out fresh with everything.
All right, all right. And do Walamu Olatunji, do we have another presentation?
Yeah, we're going to get Brother Nasor and what he has been doing in his garden. And we'll let him kind of walk us through that with his presentation.
Okay. Now, I don't know if I mentioned it. Well, I know I mentioned it earlier, but in my backyard formerly used to be a pasture for cows or sheep, whatever the guy had here. By the way, that's my oh, this is my dog I got from Beulah Land, Cardinal. His name is Maccabee. This is where I started my garden. I had to clear all that out.
Okay.
And like I said, I was working with the cancer, so it was like therapy for me. I was just getting my exercise, and I cleared it out to that point. You seen the big bushes? There it is there. You see the tiller back there? I had tilled it all up. I had added fertilizer and and cow manure. Tilled it all up, blocked it off. These are some of my first tomato plants. I had cherry tomatoes and big boy, what do they call it? Beef tomatoes, something like that. This is one of the first plants that started growing best by squash plants in the back. Now they just started growing all over. Oh, that right there is the banana tree that's going to be coming up. Oh, and this is some of that. This is what happened when you get a garden in your yard. You get creatures like this, that rabbit.
Get them critters.
You get them critters. That's right. And here's some of what I started with: some collard greens, cabbage, and leaf lettuce. The lettuce didn't last long with all them rabbits in the yard.
So
now this is some of my harvest. That's a cucumber right here and one of my beef boy tomatoes. Those are my another beef boy tomato and green peppers. I did green peppers and red peppers. That's one of the squash that come up in that patch back there, and some cherry tomatoes, which were delicious. Those didn't turn out too well. Those were some of my yams.
Okay.
I'm gonna try them again this year. Oh, there's some of my collard greens that I cooked up from my garden.
That must be a special feeling to be able to grow it and eat it yourself.
And these two things, the green peppers and the red peppers, those came out of my garden also. I'm cooking them up. And this is some of the stuff that I use. When you got stuff. See, my garden, I didn't get a chance to box any of that stuff in, so I just tilled up the soil, tilled up the land, and I added stuff like manure and other stuff like that to keep the thing going. But and I was fighting the weeds and fighting the bugs and the critters. But
so did you have a long history of gardening before this, or you just got in?
Yeah, well, yeah, this is the first, when I got into this place here where I'm living at now, I didn't have a garden in here. I've been here now over 8 years now. But I did have a garden previously where I was living, and I had grew a lot of different stuff. White potatoes. This time when I started gardening with more of a herb garden, more of a plant medicine type things that I was trying to get into, because I was dealing with that cancer.
So I have to stop you there because you mentioned a few things.
Yeah.
Now, not everyone that's watching this or that will watch this is a member of the shrine. So you mentioned Beulah land. What the heck is Beulah land?
Beulah land is our farmland. That's the largest farm, Black-owned farm in America. Just about 4,000 acres.
And so what part did you play with Beulah land?
Well, look, I'm gonna show you this. As you can see, my shirt.
I see it. I want my
this-
shirt.
You want your shirt? Well, well, the part I played at the time, I was the chairman of the Beulah Land Farm Committee.
Okay.
We were going up, and of course, we got the manager up there who was Dr. Muga. We were going up to Beulah Land just about every weekend, and we were planting collard greens. We had a whole host of vegetables and stuff that we had planted up there. I think we had planted it. We had started out, I think it was like on 6 acres. And then it was going fine. And then things happened and it just sort of shut down for a while, but we're going to do other stuff there. We have animals up there now. We're not doing a whole lot of planning and stuff. We've got other programs that we're getting ready to try to start up there. But the planning is not there because the people is not there right now. We don't have the farm hands.
Yeah.
That could.
You mentioned a few times cancer. And before we actually started the program, you were sharing that that was one of the things that motivated you to get involved in gardening. Can you speak to that?
Well, yeah, because a lot of times, I've had people in my family die from cancer, I think, but in the past 5 years, at least one person every year for the past 5 years, either on my wife's side or my side. Cancer, there's thousands of kinds of cancer. No one would probably could pinpoint what causes cancer. I don't think the doctors, because there's so many different types. In my case, I had, as they tell you as a Black man, you got to always be aware of your prostate. And when you get to a certain age, you got to check on it. Your prostate get enlarged, it's going to be a little problem. But now, an enlarged prostate doesn't always lead to cancer. But in my case, it led to cancer. And I'd say about 7 years after I found out that I had an enlarged prostate, I had gotten sick, ended up in the hospital. Come to find out my prostate had gotten cancer. And it was due to, I think one thing was the job that I had, and plus my diet. Most of the times when we get cancer, it's usually stuff that we're eating. And we know that we're not growing and raising our own food. And we know that they're putting stuff in our food and stuff in the air and everything else that's causing cancer. But of course, your body gonna react to it one way or the other. Like I said, mine was the hormones. And that's what happens when you have prostate cancer, your hormones.
But you didn't just have cancer. Tell the whole story. You said you had stage 4 cancer.
I had stage 4 cancer. And when you have stage 4 cancer, the doctors already know that the cancer has already metastasized. Metastasized means the cancer has spread from its original point and gotten into your bloodstream somewhere and more than likely started up elsewhere. And in my case, mine had moved from my prostate, went into my left knee, my left foot, my lower spine, and some lower ribs. That scared me. It just scared anybody. But, and I knew it was something that could be done, but anybody that I've known that had cancer and had gone completely through the medical treatments, it was always a thing with their health from the medical treatments. So I decided I was going to look into the medical. I went to the Georgia Urology, and I also went through Cancer Treatment Centers of Atlanta down in Noonan. But before I did those for second opinions. I started out right off the bat when after I had my biopsy, I found out how high my PSA was, which was off the chart. I talked to a friend of mine, and they gave me a holistic doctor to talk to. So, and this holistic doctor was a brother, and he's it was like 2 years ago. When I met him, he was 83, and he was a spry
Wow.
fella. And he was a holistic doctor. And I went to him. He sat me down. He checked me out, and he gave me a regimen of stuff to get on before I even started with my medical stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because my medical treatments was going to be shots. Because we decided, okay, well, since it's already metastasized and got spread somewhat, we don't want to let it spread no more. We just want to try to slow it down. And basically, that's what they do with medication. Is slow it down. They treat the symptoms instead of the cause. The holistic doctor he'll go after the cause. That's what you want to get. Because you don't want to be taking these shots and all medication the rest of your life. And that's what pharmaceutical stuff does. But anyway, medical doctor put me on a treatment of natural supplements and different rituals of things to do. And that was like 3 weeks before I even took anything from the medical establishment. But within 2 weeks, I was feeling a lot better just from that stuff that I was dealing with from him.
And so how did gardening become a part of this whole healing process? And where are you now in terms of your cancer journey?
Well, I tell you what, gardening was very therapeutical for me because you like to I like to get to see my hands on things and get things growing. I needed the exercise because the pandemic had shut everything down. I wasn't working anymore. Mm-hmm. And I was driving the trucks. I wasn't doing that anymore. I was basically trying to continue to do my real estate business, and I'm basically out of the house at home. But I had to get out and exercise and get back into the spirit of things, and the gardening did that for me because I was growing all kinds of stuff, and the stuff you get satisfaction of growing your stuff. You're growing your own vegetables, you're cooking them, preparing them, and enjoying them. And a lot of times they taste much better than the stuff you would get from the store. I mean, mm-hmm. that might be my biased opinion, but I think it does. But yeah, I invested in this book of, can you see this here?
Yes. The Lost Book of Herbal Remedies.
Right. And Power of Plant Heal Medicine.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, and then I'm walking around, as I mentioned, my yard is the pasture. I'm walking around and I'm seeing some of these same plants in my yard out here. But this is, these are fundamental things that we could do, just like dandelions that grow up in between the cracks in our driveway. Our grandmothers or our aunts or somebody would go out there and grab it and put some tea and cheesecloth and strain it down and have you drink some of that. And of course, that'll clean you out just like anything else. Then you hear all this stuff about, what is this stuff? Poke salad. Poke salad grow everywhere. But then you got to know when can you prepare the poke salad and when not to prepare it, because after a certain time, it turns poison.
So it sounds like there's a whole lot of remedies and information that we've lost that we need to recapture. But before we have that conversation, because I want to bring Walamu Olatunji into that conversation, where are you on your cancer journey, brother? That we need to know this.
Cancer treatment. Last November, my doctor told me that I could start telling people my cancer was in remissions.
Wow.
My PSA is basically is so low the cancer is undetectable now.
Wow.
You know, and us guys, I don't know if it's because, you know, I know a couple of times I have been, you know, I was driving the truck and the 18-wheeler, and I'm taking these testosterone, you know, to build you up, to keep you going. And believe it or not, that's what causes the cancer in your prostate. The testosterone sends your cells, they're not dissolving like they should. I don't know if because you got too much testosterone or what, but they just clump together and just squeeze up on your urethra, which is meaning you won't be able, once that urethra is squeezed up, you won't be able to urinate.
You got issues.
You got issues.
Serious issues. But you touched on something that was pretty powerful, and I want to get Walamu Olatunji and Major Abubakar to share on that. You were talking about you walk in your backyard and you see all these plants and weeds, basically, that, you know, we've been trained to just throw away.
Right.
Walamu Olatunji, you were saying something even before our program started, that we have to tap back into that more ancient bed of medicine that our great grandmothers and grandfathers use on a regular basis. Can you speak on that, Reverend?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, I mean, as a historian, I'm very clear that as the first people, we were the first agriculturalists, and we lived in harmony with nature. And when we got hooked up with these white folks, let's make it plain, it changed our whole reality as a people, and we got tied into a diet that not only was not good for us, but that is killing us outright. And people want to dance around the idea about what causes cancer. It's the toxins that we put into our body. And we have to realize that the enemy system that we live within is not for our best health. They have all kinds of chemicals. All they want to do is get the product to the market as quickly as possible. And they put all kinds of pesticides and herbicides on the food even before we get it. And when we get into the grocery store, we think we're buying healthy food when it's already contaminated. And even the vegetables. And then we add fast food diets on top of that. We're overtoxing the body. And so the body is now full of toxins to the point that it cannot get rid of them through the elimination process, through urination and defecation. It's so full of toxins that the body is trying to rid itself of those toxins, and it creates sores, which we call cancers, in the body to push out those toxins through those sores. And that's very clear if you do any research related to health and diet. Then you can also just look at places around the world where people have almost no cases of cancer, and then look at what their diet regimen looks like. They're eating more natural food that they grow themselves, so they know.
They're not eating at Burger King?
No, they're not. They're not. Hey, I mean, and I used to go to Burger King and McDonald's, man, and it's a miracle I'm still here today. I was so fortunate to be able to learn something, because I was always seeking information to learn about diet as well. What's killing our people, and then what's healing our people. So when we go back to Mother Nature, when we get back control of our diet, when we start growing our own food again, I mean, the soy is a clear testimony of it. And I've heard that type of story over and over again. When I stopped eating in the grocery store, when I stopped taking the medicine that white folks gave me and went back to Mother Nature, I got better. I got better. You can look at some of the commercials that they have on TV. They got these pretty commercials, and they want you to, the pharmaceutical industry wants you to take this medicine. And then at the end of the commercial, may cause heart attack, stroke, and death. and you're wondering, now, why the hell would I take that? You know? And but that's exactly what it is. We got to get back to Mother Nature. Yeah. And I wanted to ask Nasor, because I know, well, the issues sometimes come up on Bureau land about maybe not all of the land is good for growing food. But Abu Bakr just solved that problem in terms of the raised beds. Right. So if you got space, and we got more space than anybody, as the largest Black farm in America, you can have raised beds, and you can have, they have commercial greenhouses that sit on the land with raised beds, and some of it is aquaponics, and they're growing all kinds of healthy food. So we can do that. And I wanted to ask Nasor, then when you start growing, what is the difference when you actually go to the land and start growing from the dirt instead of growing on raised beds?
Well, I think the raised bed is the idea of, it's like a patio type thing. You know, you got a box and you got to fill the box up with your special dirt. Mm-hmm. I didn't have to do that with mine. I got the pasture. My dirt is already special. I already got manure and stuff in it. Even though I added stuff in there, I can look at it by when I pull up something out of there or till it up. You can it smells real rich. You can smell it. It's nice and rich and fertile. You know,
yeah, and that on Bureau land, there's areas where we got a real special dirt.
Oh yeah, so we do.
We can grow in those areas, and then we can move that special dirt to a raised bed in another area.
Oh yeah.
And so you can grow food. I mean, Mother Nature is so powerful. You put the seed in the ground, God takes care of the rest. I want to show you just a little bit of what I've been doing. And in our house, we don't have almost no land around our house at all. And so I've been growing on the side porches in pots. And I also created my own little greenhouse that I invested in that I've been using for the last 2 seasons. I just want to share with you what I've been doing as I take advice from these 2 brothers on how to grow and what to grow. So I'm generally buying my dirt at the gardening centers, and I try to get the best organic dirt that I can find, and I'm putting it in the pots. And this year, I kind of started out with seeds. I wanted to get back to Mother Nature in terms of completely organic. And growing from a seed takes a little longer. And I talked to Abu Bakr about it, and he said, well, get your seeds in the ground in like February. And I know it's still cold in February, but he said it's going to take 4 to 6 weeks before they germinate. And so right now, my new crop is just breaking through the soil. So I'm just excited about that, because before I was using the little startup plants and that you get from the store. But this year I decided to go strictly with organic seeds. And as the seeds begin to come up, as you can see right here, I had them all bunched together. So I'm learning, but I would then separate them and so that they'll have a little more space. And I use these little Dixie cups, because when they were very started up, they were very weak. and the wind would blow them down, and I would lose some that way. So I put these little Dixie cups around them until they can kind of get a little more strength in them. And I started out with a little makeshift cage because I had problems with squirrels around the house. And the first cage I built, I mean, it was real ghetto. My wife made me tear it down. And but as you can see, I was just committed to growing something. And I had all these pots together. And when they really started growing, I couldn't even get in and take care of them because they were too close together. So I learned something in reference to that. Yeah, this was my biggest enemy. Nassau had rabbits, I had squirrels. So I knew I had to keep the squirrels out. So I then would move chicken wires. They told me, get you some chicken wire. I'm like, what is chicken wire? You know? So I went to the store and I got me some chicken wire. And then I built my own cage. So I got the wood, and really it started out as just a frame. And so it is 9 feet long, it's 7 feet tall, and 5 feet wide. And so I put this up, and my wife was a little more satisfied with that than the mess I had out there at first. And then the door, where the door, it was open right there. So I went and bought a screen door, and me and my son, we put that screen door on it. And I was so proud when we got through with that. And so this is what it looks like. So on the top up there is the side porch where we're growing plants in the pots. And then I got this little greenhouse, if you will, right down on the beneath it. And it's covered with chicken wire and screen to keep the squirrels out. And as you see on the bottom right here, when we had our roof redone, I had some extra tiles left over. So I turned them over and laid the floor down for that so nothing would grow up through the floor. And it just started growing from seeds and all kinds of vegetables. We basically were getting bell peppers. You know, a bell pepper today will cost you $1. And so you could get a pack of bell pepper seeds and you could grow bell peppers all year long for less than a couple of dollars. And so as you see, it got real full and it grew up over the season. And it got so tall that they were almost coming out of the roof. But it provided us with tomatoes. I got some seedlings from Abu Bakr. And when I was growing my tomatoes, I ran into aphids. I didn't know what an aphid was. So it just so happened when I'm trying to figure out how to deal with these aphids, I get a call from Mughal on Beulah. And I said, hey, this must be tied into the God spirit. And so I asked him, he told me what to do about the aphids. So when it got cold, I just took the plastic and wrapped the cage with the plastic. And I got tomatoes and bell peppers and stuff all the way up to almost mid-December. And so I took the top off of it when the weather started changing a little bit. And now this is what I have in the pots in there right now. And over half of them are now coming up, breaking through the soil as the weather is changing. And so I'm looking for a better garden. I've learned a lot. This is up on the side porch, still little cages that I kind of made, but I'm gonna get into actually making some smaller grow cages that I call them grow cages, or smaller greenhouses for people who are in an urban area and they might have problems with squirrels and the like. But this has produced a lot of vegetables, and it comes straight out of this garden onto the kitchen table. And like Nassau and Abu Bakr was saying, it is better. It tastes better than food that is bought in the store. And we had so much that was coming out of this little area that it grew out of the cage I had it in and spread it all over. And we actually had three growths of tomatoes coming out of here. And so we had to then start sharing them with family and friends. And so the idea is that if we all have our own little urban garden or wherever we want to grow, it's going to provide food, not only better food, not only for our families, but enough that we can then also share with our community. And it gives us some experience that we're going to need to really get all of the benefits out of the 4,000 acres that we have on Beulah land.
Walamu Olatunji, this is absolutely amazing. I'm glad you shared that because one of the questions I was going to ask is, well, what about the person who doesn't have that beautiful pasture land like Brother Nasor has?
Okay.
Or the lifetime of experience that Major Abu Bakr has. But just listening to you, one of the most important things it sounds like is just a willingness to do it, a willingness to get out there and learn. And you showed that you can literally grow anywhere. You can grow anywhere.
That's right.
Yes, indeed. And it's going to be better for your health, for your family's health, for the community's health. And if you have the will, you can, as you just said, you can grow anywhere.
Yeah, just dealing with the raised bed, talk about Beulah land, that would be a something to think about, because what it is, problem with Beulah land, farming, having somebody there to take care of it when you put it in the ground, get the grass out of it and stuff of that nature, and keep like when you put them in a raised bed, you can put the dirt in there, and you be able to still got to have somebody to deal with it, to keep the little grass out, but you can use what they call mulch to put on the bed to smother out the grass.
Thank you for that. So what I've heard is just some of the benefits. One, spiritually, you get benefits from this activity, from gardening. Physically, that's what Brother Nasor was talking about. He was able to get that exercise going, but also just the nutrients that we're taking in, and just the good feeling of knowing that we are eating much healthier than normal. It sounds like there's just all kinds of really powerful benefits from doing this. And what Abu Bakr said, I think, was now is the time to do it. Right now is the time to get on out there and get going with it.
And if I might add, in terms of the spiritual interaction, it is clearly something spiritual when you put your hands into the dirt. And you will begin to feel something that you have never felt before. I mean, it's the soil that produces all life on the planet. And when you, as an energy being, as an organic being, connect with the soil, that's why a lot of places on the planet where African people were, we were barefoot, so that we had that direct connection to the energy of Mother Nature. And it is very spiritual and uplifting. And then just the care to see something grow out of a very small seed that you can then bring to the table. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, we could go on all night, but we're going to have to bring this to a close. I'm just going to ask if there's any, like final words anyone wants to say before we get on out of here. Go ahead, Major Abu Bakr.
Yeah, with me, the spirituality of it, I say it added 10 more years of my life working from being on the farm of Beulah land.
Wow. We're getting personal testimonies over here.
All right.
That's my personal testimony. I'm saying it added 10 more. I'm making a positives. It added 10 more years on my life.
And I just want to say, Black to nature, people.
All right.
Brother Nasor, any final words before we get on out of here?
Well, talking about the spirituality of working the land it is, that's what it is, and that's what you feel. But to put it on another level as far as planting the seed, if we could use it as a level as how we plant our seeds in our mind, how we plant our seeds in the ground, and what there's this mysterious working that the land would do to develop the seed. It's a mysterious working that the cosmos would do, which would develop our thoughts. I think that it all works together. And thank you for this airtime.
No,
and it's
thank you.
good to see you.
Good to see you too, man. It's been way too long. Can
Oh,
you
yeah.
give us the name of? It said it used to be called the Farmer's Almanac. What's the name of the almanac?
Oh, right here. This is called Grizz Almanac. Can you see it? Can
We can now. Yeah.
you read it?
Yes.
Okay, Grizz Almanac. And all down here in the fine print, it gives you Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, all the states that is for.
Okay.
And it's a host of information. These things have been coming out for years. And they come out every year, annually. Because
And you said you get it for free.
you get it for free. I get this from where I go and get the garden supplies or my dog food, that type of stuff. It's at the feed store. And I'm thinking they might have these at somewhere like what is it? It's a place called something like Track something. Tractor something maybe. It's like a hardware, but they would probably have these too.
Tractor Supply.
Yeah, Tractor Supply. They would probably have these too, because they deal with plants and stuff, you know.
When we get off here, I'm gonna see if I can get one online as well. Reverend Walamu Olatunji, those who are not part of the Shrine family may not know that you are a master teacher in African, Pan-African history and studies. And so with that kind of knowledge and information, I mean, that's enough in and of itself. What attracted you to this whole gardening and getting back to nature?
Well, actually, when I was doing the history classes live before the pandemic, I was sharing information about our history and our culture. And as a part of that, information continued to come up about diet and what we were eating when we were in the Nile Valley, what type of diet we had in Africa, diet that we took with us everywhere we went. Even when we were forced into slavery, a lot of brothers and sisters who were forced into that would carry seeds with them, okra seeds and other kinds of seeds, and would plant them wherever they landed. And I knew that one of our major issues, in addition to the lack of knowledge of who we are as a people, was we're sick. Everybody got somebody sick, struggling with some type of disease in their family. And so I started doing some research on health. And fortunately, over the last couple of years, I really had the time to put more energy into that. And I've collected a lot of information about plants and diet and everything that I want to share with our community and the broader community as well, because it is a healing thing that we desperately need.
Yeah, well, all of you are to be celebrated. Before we get out of here, I see we have Elder O'Neill wants to say something before we get out of here. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Elder O'Neill.
Yes, thank you. This has been very informative and everything. I almost feel like we're having a group 9 meeting. We have our assistant leader, Brother Nassar. We have our Lieutenant Shaquala, Mama Lieutenant, and we have our teacher, Walamu Olatunji. Is this a group 9 meeting?
Yeah. Then you come on and that's completed.
I just figured I better say that. Thank you.
Good to see you.
Thank you for sharing that, soul sister. Thank you. And brothers, again, thank you for the work you do, for the example that you are setting. And we just really appreciate you giving us your time, talents, and sharing your stories this evening. I know that there are some people that are going to be inspired to follow your lead. And I'm looking forward to the conversations about this moving forward, y'all. So again, thank you. And for those who have been watching Conscious Conversations, we don't take it for granted that you made a decision to spend some of your Friday evening with us. And so we're just thankful that you did that. And prayerfully, some of the information that we shared, something through this conversation has inspired you and touched you And we hope to see you again next week, because Conscious Conversations every Friday, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. We just ask when you come back next week, please bring a friend, and we will leave you with this word, amanla, which means power. Let's use that power to move closer to becoming all that the Creator meant us to be. All right, y'all. God bless. Thank you. We'll be talking soon.
All right.
Thank you, Reverend Swat. Keep the good work up.
All right.
All right, thank you.